And get quiet, maybe I will, because I do think that clock doesn't work.
No, it does not.
It's not going to be helpful. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alyssa Regier, and I am honored to be the President and CEO of Thrive Allen County and to be with you all here in Moran tonight. And I do have to say, I don't think we can hold this community conversation without honoring the fact that this is the first one in many, many years, probably since our inception of having community conversations in Moran, where Larry Manus and Nelda Cuppy are also not with us. And I have always considered Larry to be your biggest champion. So I'm sure wherever Larry is in the spirit world, he is championing you on right now. But I definitely wanted to honor that we are missing. And I'm sure they're not the only ones, but Larry was always such a staunch advocate for your community. So I just want to call that out. He is missed. What I also want to share, just how many of you have been to one of our community conversations? We got some new people. That's exciting. So tonight what we're going to do is really just ask you a few questions. And this is about you, it's not about us. So I will say very quickly, Thrive is a health, wellness, economic development organization. We've been in the community we're going on our 17th year now, which is very exciting. And we do everything from care coordination, which is helping people with health insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, food assistance, utility assistance, any frontline assistance at all that is needed, to economic development, to grant writing, to community engagement. We currently hold transportation as well, but that is Allen Regional Transit, ART, and we are rolling that off, pun intended, on July 1 into its own nonprofit, which is very exciting. So we do a whole lot of things. And most of what we do comes from having conversations with our communities. So the conversation we have tonight helps us know what you as Moran or Moran area residents want to see in Allen County. And so we take that back as a team, and then we discuss it and we find who will be the leads on kind of your top priority areas that we come up with tonight. And then we try and move the needle forward in those areas for you. And I will always say, and I'll say it again at the end of the night, we can't promise you that we can figure it out, but we will definitely promise you that we will try. And so with that, I think what I'd like to do is start off. I'm going to have my team quickly go around and just say their name and their position so people have a good idea of who's in the room tonight. And then I'm also going to have my board chair introduce himself. And then I'm going to ask a couple of questions of the community to have you answer as you introduce yourselves as well. Shai, I'm going to start with you.
Hi, my name is Shai Regan. I'm the executive assistant.
My name is Dan Carroll. I'm the director of communications.
I'm Patrick Zerjak. I'm a community engagement coordinator.
Marcia Davis, I'm the community engagement director.
Rhonda Cole, I'm the director of care coordination.
Jessica Thompson, deputy director.
Karen Taylor, grant writer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jerry Wheeler. I'm the economic development director.
And then Brian Wolf is our Wolf. I get made fun of for how I say Wolf. So Wolf is our board chair, and he was one of the original community members who came up with the idea of Thrive Allen County before it was Thrive Allen County, along with about 25 to 30 other individuals who we say thank you to all the time for bringing us into existence. And so Brian, thank you so much for being here tonight. And Hayden.
Hi, I'm Hayden. I am the communications coordinator.
Also has us streaming live tonight, so if there's anybody who couldn't be here in person, they can hear. Sorry, you were so blunt with the laptop. So what I'd like to do is go around, and I'm going to have all of you introduce yourselves so we can better know you, but also if you could share how long you've been a part of this community, and if you can come up with, which I hope you can,
what you love about being a part of the Moran community. And I'm gonna start right here. I'm sorry, you probably knew she's here, like you started on this side.
Well, I've lived in this area since 1965. I came up here from Missouri, and my husband worked for the railroad. Dr. Woods was my doctor for a long time, and we moved to Ellsmore, and I wanted to come back the whole time, but I couldn't get my husband to do it, and he passed away. I moved immediately.
You moved. And can you introduce yourself, Dave, to the?
Hey, everybody in here.
Thank you, Kay.
Hey, Louis.
Thank you so much.
I'm Marilyn Logan. I'm an interloper from Iowa here tonight. And I'm here on behalf of our mission market. I've been a general manager there for 4 years. I was born and raised about 30 miles from here, left for many years and came back to this area in 2016. I've been in the area ever since.
Jeremy Hopkins, I've lived here around 19 years in Allen County, so I'm representing Allen County Public Works today.
Nice. Thank you, Jeremy. I forgot, I actually should have had Jeremy go outside of the community. I apologize, Jeremy.
Yes,
So I will say, one of the things that's been phenomenal, probably maybe the past 5 conversations, we have had Public Works represented. And especially in some of our smaller communities, that has been awesome because a lot of them want to come this way and have a conversation. So I do want to say, if some of the roads come up and Public Works stuff comes up, as a reminder, Jeremy being here is just phenomenal because it takes us out as a middle person. And they have been so great in hearing what community members have had to say and being able to act on what they're hearing. So Jeremy, thank you so much for being here.
And be easy on me.
Yeah, so we'll try and like protect from fire. Yeah, exactly.
I'm Sandy Merle, and I have lived down in Ellsmore for 52 years. And, but I'm on the store board with the Moran Market. And so that's where I know this is. So I'd like to see everything continue on.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. I'm glad you're here.
Hi, I'm Kim Esler. I've been in the Moran area since 1996. I spend a lot of time in the Marmonton USD 256 building.
Yes.
So, and as far as Moran, it's a small town where I've been able to genuinely get to know key people in the community. Through the school, obviously, that's where the connection is, but once you go through Moran, you know you're always a wildcat. So it's nice. It's just nice to know it's kind of a family environment.
Perfect. Thank you, Kim.
Hi, I'm Diane Smith, and I'm a transplant from Missouri. And so.
Got a couple of you.
Yes.
Oh, and Kim. Okay.
Yes. I've been up here for about 5 years. The community I came from was much bigger, so it was a little bit shock. I didn't really want to say that, but yeah, it's taken a little bit of time to get used to, you know, trying to get used to. I went to school also, and so having all of the grade school and the high school and junior high together was like, oh, okay. So, but it's a wonderful community here.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Jill Stillman. I've been here my whole life. I work at the school, so always there, it seems like. My main reason for being here is just, my family's been here since the 1800s, and so I'd like to see the town come back to what it used to be.
Yep. Agreed. Thank you, Jenny. Oh, and I should have had you also. I apologize.
That's all right. I'm Sarah Haney. I'm with the Iowa Register. I'm not actually from the community. I live in Nevada, Missouri, but I am happy to report on things that happen in the community.
Yes. Both Jeremy and Sarah should have done earlier. I do apologize.
Hello, I'm Annette Cole.
also from Missouri, but my roots are here since the 1800s because Jenny and I are cousins. So we have the same roots here in Moran. And I lived in Kansas City and Lee Summit and throughout most of my life. And then this was home though. This was home, so this is where we came back. I've been here 47 years now. So.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Anna Cole. I'm Annette's mother-in-law. And we moved here in the 70s, early 70s. And our children went to school here. The community became our family and our home. Had the whole basketball team would come to my house and cook for them. So, you know, they're just everybody's family here. If you need anything, they're always there for you. And we want to see our community grow. We want to see it thrive.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here, to help you, have you help us thrive again.
I love that. I love that.
Well, I don't live in Moran. I'm from Lahar. I've lived in Lahar and Iowa area for the last 20 years or so. I'm part-time office manager for Marmaton Village Apartments, so I'm here to represent them to see if there's anything that can be done to upgrade their apartments.
And we're on the board there.
Okay, awesome. So this is great. Oh, and Jay, why don't we have you introduce you guys back there?
Yes, I'm Jay Kiltner. I am with Erin Cole. And
there is a whole lot of connection here.
We moved down 2 years ago to Moran from Lee Summit. So it was a very big change for us as well, but we have come to absolutely love this area. It's beautiful, it's fun, and it's given Oscar, my son, kind of a new perspective on actual life. So it's been really, really good.
Awesome. Full transparency, Jay also works at Thrive. So awesome. Is there anyone else that walked in that I missed during that? Okay. So one, thank you all, and I especially were we recording? We're recording, right? I want to capture exactly what you said, Anthony. I just love that. I'm not going to go through everything that we talked about in our last conversation here. What I will share are what were the top things that arose during the conversation at that time, and just to get things percolating for all of you guys. But I think it sounds like you guys already have some things that might be on the top of your mind, which I love. But when we were here last, there were a handful of things. We try and at the end of this conversation, cull it down to 3 top priorities that we can work on with you guys. So last time it was, where's Kim? Childcare. So childcare was at the top of the list, needing more providers, including licensed providers, and I know Kim is working on that. Another was the loss of businesses. It was just business loss in general. And then the third dealt with blight. So both housing, blight, but also vacant buildings, and the fact that some of these buildings were being bought up, typically by one person, and then were going unused, and it was not allowing the town any more growth. Because when every building is bought up and then it's only used as storage, it really hurts a town's chance to make something happen for itself. So those were the 3 things that came up in our last conversation. We have worked, and look at Jess, has worked with Kim, and we continue to, and will continue to work on hopefully getting childcare with the school district. And Kim, I don't know if you want to share anything about that.
Still searching. Obviously, we submitted for the grant.
The accelerator.
Accelerator grant, and I think there's 4 or 5 larger school districts that received it along with my whole. So I'm moving on, looking for other grants with the Thrive.
So we understand, and I will also back up, we have a group called the Allen County Child Care Task Force that meets regularly, and one of the things that is widely accepted by that group is that the area that is in the most need of childcare is the eastern side of the county. And I think anyone living over here knows that. And so we want to be very intentional working with Kim to do whatever we can on Thrive's End to find funding and opportunities to allow Kim to move the needle in a positive direction, and to her school board to make something happen here on the east side of Allen County, which would be so important. The other thing I want to mention is, so I'm so glad Oscar's here, even though I'm sure he was dragged here by his mama. But no, he says no, he was not. Even better. That's awesome. So yeah, there it is. He knows who's going to be here. Oh, and also, just so you guys know, super informal. If you need to get up, if sit down isn't good for you, get up, move around, get food and water whenever you need it. Use restrooms that are over there whenever you need it. Please don't feel like you have to stay seated. I'm not sitting right now. So if you need to move, please do. The other thing though, highlighting Oscar, is we usually don't have young adults or youth at these conversations. It's not where we are able to engage with them. If they, for whatever reason, because they're so busy with activities, because they just don't feel their voices are going to be respected or heard, we've not been successful in getting them here. So instead, we've used our interns to go to them. And Marmonton Valley was the first school that our interns worked with this past year. And so I'm not going to read all of their list either, but I will just highlight what their top issues are, just so you guys understand what some of the youth are thinking about in your community. And so one of the biggest things that they were wanting tackled was the track at the school, because it's currently gravel, and so they really would like to find a way to get that paved. And as this says, KSHAA approved. Yeah, I know other people know these acronyms. It's not my acronym. I don't know that one. And then they also talked about a rec building because they talked about not having, they want more fun things to do. So they said, you know, a building that has a pool, basketball, volleyball, weight room, bowling alley, arcade, you know, everything. Just put everything in it, and then they'll be happy. And I mean, I don't blame them. We want an indoor space. So I wanted to share those with you just as a jumping off point, but here's where I want to go. Shai's going to be taking notes for us. We're going to write everything down. So if when you're talking and she writes something down, you're like, whoa, that's not what I meant, please call us out on it, because we're trying to capture you accurately, and then we'll go through it at the end. I want to start with a little bit of what I asked you to do on your intro, but see what else is out there. What is good in Moran? What are you proud of in Moran? What's going well here?
I'm extremely happy with our school system and how well they work together and communicate and seem to function on a very smooth, even keel.
Yes, I like that too.
The city is trying to make very small strides as far as pursuing the water.
Yes, yeah.
I believe they're working on the water project. I believe they're working on another project that's the electrical stuff.
Yes.
So they're trying to make the upgrades.
The infrastructure upgrades. Yeah, that's very important. I've been really impressed with that too. What else comes to mind?
Well, I'm really happy with our groceries.
I was hoping someone was going to mention that, because if you weren't, I was.
Because in this community, since we're on the board at the moment, we have a lot of people that don't drive.
Yes.
And so they have no access to get to town unless somebody takes them. And without our grocery store here, my sister lives there and she shops mainly at the grocery store, she does. But not only does she love to shop there, she loves the people there because they talk and their family and they're communicating. And so I'm so thankful that we are keeping our grocery store.
I love that too. And I gave kudos to Marilyn when I walked in, because she really came in and cleaned some things up and brought it back. And so great job, Marilyn. I want to make sure that I understand the housing you guys are talking about. Is this the one on the highway, or is this one right next to the grocery store? Are your residents able to walk to the grocery store? Do they have that ability?
If they don't, we take it to them.
That's what I wanted to understand. Okay, that's what I wanted to understand, because as soon as you were talking about it, I was like, are we talking about this one or that one? It was perfect.
That's
okay.
Nursing home.
Yes, okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
More independent living.
Well, and I remember when we were working, so Thrive originally worked on the concept of the co-op for when it moved from Stubbs to the co-op. And that one of the biggest things we looked at was that housing and the fact that you've got seniors there that need access, easy access to a grocery store. So I really appreciate you bringing up the grocery store.
We
Alyssa,
try very hard to utilize to make our services fit the community. I try to talk with people to make sure we carry in the store what they want to buy, and not a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I focus on healthy. You'll always find the line of low or no sodium vegetables, low sugar, no sugar fruits, heavy on fresh produce and things. And the same falls with our meals that we serve now from our commercial kitchen at the store. Those are cooked healthy from scratch. And that's what our focus has been, because we know that the audience here in this community need those healthy alternatives.
And the rotisserie chicken that was added.
That's right, we have rotisserie chickens.
How's that going over? Is it going over well? The meals?
Very well, very well. Good. We've had some adjusting as to what you wanted and how you wanted it, but we've been open to everything and tried to adjust. We now do a monthly calendar of meals, so you know every month what you're gonna get, except on Thursday, which is chef's choice, and that's whatever we have to have. How it needs to be cooked out, or what a favorite or something like that. But it's always there, and you can always find it on Facebook. I focus a lot of time on our Facebook page and for things. And the new rotisserie chickens are averaging about 4.5 to 5 pounds. And we do, generally we'll do just generic, but we also do a lot of different flavors. The Cajun has been a big hit, or the lemon pepper. If you want a particular flavor, call us that morning and we'll cook it for you.
That's awesome.
we had a comment, Teresa Whitaker, the director of Marvin Village. She said that she thinks the fact that they consistently maintain a waiting list for their apartment community is a plus, specifically with the remote location.
Awesome. I think that's a plus too. One of the things in Allen County, period, that I think that we are in desperate need of is more independent living and assisted living as well. So the fact that you have that here, and the fact that there is a waiting list, I think that speaks volumes. And I think too, one of the things I worry a lot about, it's been a big conversation with economic development. Jared and I have had this often, especially lately, is we have people who, if they don't have a place to move to when they need that next place, that independent living or assisted living, we will lose them forever from our community. They're not going to come back, and we possibly could lose their children who would follow after the parents. And so it's the opposite of what we're aiming for. So I'm so glad that you have that, and thank you, Teresa, for sharing that. And Hayden, I'll keep trying to just wave at me. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's a learning curve.
It's a learning curve. Yeah, sorry. We did this a little bit during COVID, where we used Zoom, and now we're using YouTube. So you guys are your practice run. So. Okay, are there other good things people want to throw out?
So you mentioned like the buildings that are vacant and somebody was purchasing all of those.
Yes.
So how are you going to help with that problem?
So one of the things we talked about last time was the possibility, there are some towns who have done certain ordinances. So downtown building ordinances. So the city would have to approve it, but it would basically say if you hold a building that is in our downtown district, you have to show that it is being used for something other than storage. Because otherwise, this is how small towns die, is these buildings are bought up and people who could otherwise try and run a business out of them can't, because there's no space to buy a building. So that's something that I would like to be able to have addressed with your community, because otherwise, I don't know, the other thing I guess would be to have conversations with the building owner and I don't know, and see what the possibility would be of selling the property, or if there's an understanding, I don't know that he understands what is happening to a community when he does that. And maybe there needs to be some open communication about, do you understand that when you buy this much property and then only use it as storage, that community has no way to breathe life back into itself. But the big thing that we've looked into that some communities have done is this building ordinance about you have to show usage of the building, not as storage. And I don't have all that in my head. It was Jonathan who was in Jared's position before Jared came on this past year, and he had been kind of looking into that. So it's something that I'll chat with Jared about. I'm sure he's come help. So, and I brought it up even in to the city administrator in Iola, just as a kind of informal conversation, just to get some ideas on how that could work. So that's what comes to my mind as things that we've seen work in other communities. And part of it might just be like, if this person understood how many community members were saying, you might be the reason that we can't like breathe this life into us and we can't grow. And more than that, that you will continue to decline because there is no building left for someone to purchase and do something with, then maybe there's a conversation that could be had there.
So by chance you wanted to sell some of those buildings, how are you gonna attract businesses that wanna come to Moran?
I think that's a really good question. That's where I would look to all of you as the community, and some of the questions that we would ask you are, so obviously we know that Stubb struggled a little bit when they were here, and I don't think it was so much a struggle, I think they were ready to just be done. And then Marmonton, the co-op opened, and the Moran, Marmonton Market, good grief. It's been a longer day, I'm sorry, we had training earlier today. And they struggled for a while. And I think part of that was, again, not being connected into the community in the way to understand, what do I buy that the community wants, which I think Marilyn has done a great job, and she's also just done a great job with the books and everything else. So the reason I bring that up is, what we need to understand is what would make it in Moran, because then Jared, as he talks to people who want to start businesses, and we hear people that are interested in our area, that's a conversation we could then have with them. So I pose that to all of you. What would you think could be something that could be sustainable here in Moran?
And how can we make that more attractive to them to want to be here?
Yes. Yeah, that's a big one. Incentives. That's what I would tell you. That's the thing that are always talked about with us, or what kind of incentives are there. So is it that the city owns the building and they say for the first however many months you get it rent free? Is it that we will cut the rent in half for you? Is it any number of things? There's a lot that can be looked at in a scrappy way. When we are a community with fewer resources, we have to think outside the box and be kind of scrappy about it. So I want to go back to, what do you guys think could be successful here?
What is the doctor's office? They did have quite a bit.
They did. They were here. So when I talked with the hospital about that, because I was really sad for you guys that closed. They did not have my understanding is, and I don't know, Brian, if you have any insight on this, but they just weren't able to see enough people to make it like financially feasible for them at that time. They also pulled office from Humboldt as well because of that. So I don't necessarily see St. Luke's bringing a hospital clinic back out here, but that doesn't mean there aren't some other entities that might not be interested in it. So if that's something that you guys wanted on your list, was better access to healthcare, meaning is there an entity that would be willing to set up shop, even if it was just a couple days a week here? Is that one of the things that you guys, so what I want you guys to understand, and this question that I'm asking you, we're actually moving to opportunities here, is anything you share with us doesn't mean it's on the top of your list. We're just sharing out everything. I want a full entire conversation with you guys so we cover everything. in a hopefully succinct, like within, I keep looking at the clock, that doesn't work, but, so, we could be here all day. But doctor's office or healthcare access, is that something that everyone would say would definitely benefit the community?
Yes.
Yes, okay, let's put that on there, healthcare access, / doctor's office, thank you, Shai. What else would you think benefit the community and is sustainable?
Restaurants?
A restaurant, yeah, totally.
I think a small bank branch, because we really miss.
A bakery?
Bank.
Bank branch.
Yeah.
Turn the hearing.
Yeah.
I'm apparently hungry. A bank branch, that's one of the buildings that just got bought up a couple of years ago too.
We really miss our.
So a bank branch, Shai?
Hairstylist or barber shop or something.
Yeah. You guys don't have, you do, are they in homes or are they on Main Street? Okay. Maybe just a little bit more, advertisement then. Okay, what else?
Who is the hairstylist?
It's Debbie Jones and Stroud.
So on Main Street.
Right next to the bowling meet.
Oh, look at St. Jake. So good to come and learn.
Learning.
I see we lost Oscar, but it's so good to be here. This is what I mean with the youth. They're like, this is a lot of talking. Okay. What other kinds of business would you like to see in town? I mean, dream. Don't. This is your time to dream. The kids did.
Like a hardware store.
Something in that family.
Yeah.
Hardware store.
Yep. That would be a good one. Is that what? Is
Yes,
that what you were going
because you have to drive to get plumbing parts,
Yeah. Anything.
anything, even electrical.
Yeah.
Isn't it right here where Western Auto used to be? Chris, just gone down a little bit.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
problem is, most people that live here and have a business, they don't want to make just $30,000.
Right.
So that's where
Yeah.
the problem is.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to start a business. It's hard to run a business, and it's difficult work. It's a difficult, especially in a small community where you're like, will I get the numbers in order to keep it open? We see that even in Iola. We see that and have conversations with our business owners there about that as well.
Well, I think you would get a valuable amount of pull from, because we have Ellsmore, Stark, Savinburg, Bronson,
Mildred,
Teresa also seconded the bank.
the bank. Okay. We put that on, right? Yeah.
If they would put a hardware store in and have a man there that would go out in the community and do handiwork, because people need that.
So that's where we really are lacking. We do not have enough tradespeople, I think. And we're not just talking about Moran. This is, I'm gonna say it's nationwide at this point, but we'll just say Allen County. We know it's something that's highlighted to us on the economic development side quite a bit. We also know when we talk about housing, any kind of construction projects, we are lacking those people. So trades, can you just put like trades, let's do both. Like, no, actually, let's put it on its own, because I think we just need more, period. Anything else you guys can think of that would be good to have? Actually, I didn't want to read off this list, but I do want to see how close you are to, things that they wanted. You guys are actually hitting a lot more than we. I will say, so back to Marmaton Market, when we were talking about things that could be better, things that people would like to see worked on, they said every problem would be exacerbated if Marmaton Market closed. And a couple of years ago, that was a big concern. So again, congratulations and great job, Marilyn. And the senior housing was mentioned last time is a good thing as well. And just to make sure that it stays. Okay, so those would be businesses. Let's change frame from that, what are other things that you can think of? And I know some of you came here on specific missions for specific entities. So wear those hats and talk with me about that too. What are things that your organizations need? What are areas that you guys feel there are gaps in? Let's start with that. We're looking at opportunity areas is what I call it. You guys might call them problems or concerns. What do you guys see there?
We have a problem and a concern. It's the housing has never been updated. It's going into disrepair, and it's getting there rather quickly. If we
All the
don't
housing,
do something.
like housing stock.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the sheetrock is starting to crack and peel, and all the appliances are starting to break down.
The flooring needs replaced, covers need, bathrooms need replaced.
Yeah.
And also.
But not just at the independent living. Is that what you guys are talking about
Yes,
solely
yes.
and not the whole housing stock? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But our concern is people will no longer want to live there.
If it's not kept up.
And we also have a parking problem because as the city has re-sided and refurnished the streets, it's got taller and taller.
Yeah.
So all the water goes down into our parking place. People have walkers, they have wheelchairs, canes, they wade through that water and
It's dangerous.
it's dangerous.
It's a fall hazard.
Yes, yes.
Did you catch that too?
So
So what I'm hearing for independent living is really needing like some assistance on the structure itself.
we have a new roof, we have new windows, we have new heat and air. We have that.
Okay.
But cosmetically and parking area.
The parking especially.
We really need help.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. And I've got a couple of my grant writers here so they can hear what you guys are saying, which is good. I'm listening. I've got 3 out of the 5 here actually, so. You said that was owned federally? Federally funded. Okay.
I'm gonna speak on my own agenda.
Please, well, that's what I asked you guys to do, so that's perfect.
So I came here specifically for the library.
Yes.
I'm trying to raise enough money to buy a vending machine for the library so that when the kids do good things, they can have a book instead of sugary sweets or, that type of thing. I used to give them slushies or cookies and cool cat awards and stuff. But I've been doing a little research and it's proven that 44 to 66% of the schools that have the vending machine, their literacy rate has went up.
Because kids want to be able to go to that machine.
That's
and
right.
Get a prize.
That's right.
I
And
love
so
that.
a lot of people they can't afford the books when I host book fairs and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. I used to do book fairs, I still do book fairs, but where I would do the library one year, the teachers one year, and the students one year. Just give the books to them, let them pick out whatever they wanted. And they were so excited about that, so excited. It's just amazing to see their little faces light up because it's something that they don't have at home.
Yeah. No, I love that idea. I just like to shoot looks at the grant writers so that they know like, hey, I really like this idea. That might be something we can help with.
Well, and Jeannie wrote a grant and we were passed over for like the public library.
Yes.
And I just feel like our little school needs something to boost and know that we're here.
Yes,
You
yes,
know?
agreed. No, I love the idea of that vending machine. And so that's one.
And I would do the book fairs to supply all the books for the machine. I only need the machine.
So you don't need what's in the machine.
No.
You just need the machine. Okay.
Does it have to be, sorry?
No, you're
Does it
good.
have to be a specialized machine?
Actually, I brought some literature for you.
Perfect. Look who's prepared. I love it. So this is great. So thank you, Karen. So like I said, so we have 3 of our 5 grant writers here. 2 of those grant writers out of the 5 do things other than grant writing. So Jess is our deputy director, oversees a whole lot of things, but she's also our lead grant writer. And the reason I always credit for our exponential growth. And then Jenny does a lot of our statewide work under Thrive Kansas, because we have an additional organization that we have started on more statewide stuff. So when we have Karen and Jay here, they are very much localized in the grant writing that they're doing. And so what I want to make sure I put out here is we will always look for the opportunities for you guys. But when it comes to grants, although my team is phenomenal, and I think just what our rate's at 43% or something right now, yeah. I think. So it's very successful. Typically we share that the average grant writer is about 15% success rate. When Jess came on, Thrive was like at 90-something%, because we went after the same grants all the time, and our funders were like, we know you. And she's like, we're gonna change that up. That percentage is gonna go down, but we're gonna go after a lot more. And so we've been able to do a lot more, which is wonderful. But what I want to share is we will, with any of the things you guys are sharing, if we find grant opportunities that we believe would benefit you, because that's truly kind of our wheelhouse about how we bring funding into the community to make things happen, we will do that. But we can guarantee you like the grant being written and that we'll put our best, highest quality of work into it. After that, it's out of our hands. Correct. And so I just always want to be as honest and transparent about that as possible. Because that's the live and die off the grant world that we live in, and it will break your heart sometimes. It broke our heart recently. And so, but then we pick ourselves back up and we figure out where's the next opportunity, and we go after that until we finally get it. Hayden.
Teresa added, I'm not sure exactly what this applies to. She just said that Marvin Village is a USDA rural development property, and they have the opportunity to apply for rehabilitation grants, but those are unattainable for us at this time. We need smaller grants, baby steps.
Okay, that's super helpful. Okay, thank you, Teresa. And we keep all those comments?
Yeah, it should be.
I'm liking this YouTube thing. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so I've got the library vending machine. I've got cosmetic and parking lot that does not feel cosmetic at all, but just safety over here. Oscar, what do you got?
I think we bored out a skate park here.
A skate park. Nice. Where do you think we could put a skate park? Can you think of a spot yet? No? That's okay. You don't have to think of one. I just wondered if you had one at the top of your mind, like where you thought would be a good place for it. Right next door to your house.
Your backyard. I mean, it might be easy to put it by the park down there and get a bit.
Yeah, by a park. Okay, so a skate park. Thank you, Oscar. Something that I'm pretty sure nobody else in this room was going to come up with, which is why I really like having younger people in the room as well. The other thing I always like to say about having younger voices in the room is it's so important, because those of us who are in the room tonight, we've been around. We've been here for a while, and we need to understand not just what to do right now to make it better, but how do we encourage people like Oscar to say, I want to make this my home, and I want to bring my children here, and I want that cycle to continue. And I always tell our interns, like, I want you to go away and experience the world, because there's so much out there, and I want you to come back home and share with us that experience, because we can learn more from you. And then it's like, if someone tells you, well, that can't be done, you're saying, yes, it can, because I saw it. It happened in this community, so if it can happen there, it can happen here. And so that's really what I always encourage them. And if we don't know what our young people want, we're not making the community that they want to see now and in the future. So Oscar, thank you. And if there's anything else you think of, raise your hand, because I will come back to you in a heartbeat. Thank you for that. That's awesome. What about, oh, yeah. Oh, I hear some whispering.
We are, speaking of our park, we really need updated equipment. We have some, what I call dangerous slides.
Okay, for the kids. Updated park equipment. Okay, I like that. I will say, the Iola equipment, the old Iola stuff they got rid of. I'm still sad about that, because I miss those really, really tall slides.
Just go right on down to the.
Oh, I'll try this one. I'm not scared about it when my 3-year-old nephew's out there, because he scares me to death, but, for me, I'm like, oh, I remember the days. No, that's really good. Thank you for sharing that.
But even like, we have a tennis court. I don't know if it's utilized much, but there's not really a basketball court where kids can just have a pickup game, and.
Which is what the high schoolers were talking about.
That was what was really, and Oscar got me started, because I'm thinking things for the kids, but what is it they want? So, that's what we need to do, is get those kids to tell us.
Yeah.
They want a set of mules.
Yeah.
They can take off
Go-kart
Well, and I will say, oh, I just lost my thoughts, so maybe I won't. It was so right there, and then as soon as I started to bring it out. Oh, yes. So what we're hearing in a lot of the communities is what they want is something like basketball or skate parks. They want things that are free to them to be able to use, because that's also a barrier. So if what you've got is, golf course, that's expensive. What they want is something where, as kids, they get on their bikes and they just go right there and they can play there. I think about it as my 1980s playground stuff. That's how free range kids.
When I drive through town, is there's not kids out riding their bikes headed to the skate park or with a group of friends going to play a pickup game of basketball or stuff. You just don't see kids out.
And there's not like a place for them to ride their bikes there.
Right.
Everything is either gravel, no shoulder, or the sidewalks on Main Street are.
Maybe let's put that on there, sidewalks and street infrastructure.
You can't easily access these places.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, because who wants to have their kid on the highway, or
Yeah.
honestly, right here too is, people will start speeding, and I would also be
He
concerned
just went
about
out to play Pokemon, and I was like, don't you cross that.
that. Oscar.
Maybe more funds for the libraries.
Look at that, more funds for the library.
Absolutely.
You made a lot of people happy there, Oscar. That's awesome. What do you think more funds for the library could do?
It could, help get books that more kids would like, because they have a very small kids section. And
Like activities,
Perfect. I like that.
after school computer use.
Oh, yeah.
some your computers, because so.
There we go. There we go. I like it. That's great. Okay. Who else has things that they would like to share?
I think along the lines of recreation, like Oscar back there, we used to have the railroad that went through.
Yeah.
And so out there by the ballpark, which is connected to the park, and if we could access and refurbish that just as they've done between Humboldt and Iola.
A rail trail.
A rail trail. Rail trails, sidewalks.
Is that the Katy Trail? Is that the Katy line, or is that a different one?
I think it's there's no Missouri City.
It's Mopac? Okay. Thrive did at one point, and that's where I need Randy Reza, who's our board member, who's the bike expert, look at connecting Iola into, and it was the Katy or the Mopac, I can't remember now, but bringing it further east. One of the issues that we ran into is most of that reverted to the landowners, and so once it reverts to the landowners, it's a lot harder to make a rail trail. The Iola Humboldt connection Southwind had not reverted, so that meant it just took the rail line saying, yep, you can use it for that. And then when it reverts to landowners, you have to go to every individual landowner and say, can we have an easement through your property? It becomes a lot more difficult, and I think that that was one of the things that was getting in our way, but we can look into that. Because we definitely, I know that was Randy's big dream, was continuing to connect it. And instead we did the Prairie Pathways bike route, which at first was called ABC Trails, because it was Allen, Bourbon, Crawford counties, but we're extending it further throughout the southeast Kansas, so we call it Prairie Pathways now. And that takes you on gravel roads mainly, biking, but that's very different I mean, that's a different group of people that's comfortable on a gravel road and comfortable on a rail trail. So,
Even if the rail trail was just a mile or two.
Right, just
people a
something
safe
in
place to
town.
walk instead of up and down.
So maybe not even necessarily a rail trail, but a trail of some kind. Okay.
And obviously.
Or just put like, or walking trail or something.
The track itself is a lot of people in the community do come and walk on.
And walk on the track.
So the idea of giving a grant to do something with their
Yeah.
track would be nice.
Okay.
I know Colony has a 3-lane track coming.
Really?
Through a grant.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, do you know, we could
I
look,
don't know which grant
might
it
need to look
is.
into that. Okay,
I've heard that.
we could call them and ask them what grant they would have to do for that. Okay.
Housing in general.
I wondered if that was gonna come up, housing. That's usually at the top of every list that
Because
we
when I moved
have.
up here, I looked around and there wasn't a lot of housing. You know, there's not a lot of opportunity for new families to move in and grow our school.
Right, right. Well, and the school will shrink if you don't have the housing stock for people to be here. Yeah, we kind of talk about like chicken and egg. It's brought up with economic development a lot, like if you have the jobs but not the houses, you can't fill the jobs. But if you have the houses, will you be able to fill the people in the houses for the jobs? And I'm like, well, let's just build some houses and see. I think that's the best way. So housing was one of the top of your list last time that we were here as well, and it is pretty much at the top of every community's list. It is a very pressing need right now, and we do have a developer who wants to develop on the eastern side of mainly La Harpe, but that at least would start the idea of building this way. And we'll see if that comes to fruition or not. I hope it does, but housing, yes. And my thought with you guys, because when you ladies started talking earlier, and I asked you to, like, are we focusing in on independent living, or are we focusing on the whole housing stock? I'd almost think what you were saying, though, is it not also true, do you have a lot of blighted housing around here where people were not able to keep up their homes, or do you, yeah, is that the case? We have that in Iola as well, and in a lot of our communities where, you know, if you're struggling to pay your, you know, your taxes and your groceries and your utilities and everything else, the last thing you're doing is fixing up your home. So over the years, it gets worse. And the older we get, the harder it is as well to fix them up. I will say we have currently a grant that we're able to utilize in Iola that we hope to go after for the whole county, and it's a USDA grant that allows us to work on, it's low-income housing, but allows us to work with them to put a new roof on the house or put a ramp in if someone needs a ramp, or if they need a zero-entry shower or something like that. So we were successful in getting that for Iola. We will be going after it. Jess, do you know when that opens again?
They have said, yeah.
Okay, so we are hopeful it opens again soon, because, or Marcia, they didn't mention it in your meeting, did they? Okay, because we have had people address us when they found out that we received it for Iola as our kind of pilot project, that, hey, we need this in Ellsworth, hey, we need it in Stavanger. So we know that there are people across the county that are like, we could definitely utilize this. So we will go out after that when it comes back out again. Because Patrick and Marcia can tell you, I think Patrick has really been leading that one. Probably the joy and the kind of relief people feel knowing that their house is going to be able to be worked on. And you talk about a roof, like that's expensive, and a lot of people just can't afford that. And so if you can put a new roof on someone's home, that's years left in that home because you don't have rain or other things getting in. So housing is super important.
I think we need to also think about what's the vision.
Oh, you know what? That's, I should have looked at Marcia when I started. So one of the questions that Marcia has mentioned to me that we've asked a couple times is, throw it out. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, where do you see Moran in
10, 20 years? What will keep Moran thriving for, keep it alive in the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah. So, yeah. So
I
that.
didn't hear what you said, Kim. What did you say?
What is our vision?
Vision, yeah.
Yeah. So Kim asked for a vision, and I think that's important too. So what I heard earlier was we don't want decline. right? So stabilization and thriving is what I kind of heard. Like, I didn't even hear stabilization. I heard we want to thrive. So I think a lot of what you are sharing equals that. And I will say, it was one of our smaller communities. I want to say it was Ellsmore. And we had asked this question, where do you see Ellsmore in 10 to 20 years? And I think one of the answers was, if we don't get this stuff done, we're dead, we're gone. And so that's always my fear. And it's one of the reasons why we come out to talk to you. And when we see so many people show up, so, I mean, Ellsmore, we had 20-some people, I think, show up. And so these smaller communities, they're right there on the edge. Mildred is another one where you have basically the whole town show up. They know that they are on that edge right now. They're on a precipice where we either move the needle and come up with really innovative, scrappy ways to bring people in, bring business in, make something happen. Or when you talk about that vision for the next, like, what does the future hold? It could be the opposite of everything you're hoping for in this moment. And so that's why I think these conversations are important. It's why I think your question, Kim, about what is the vision? So let's do that for a second. Forecast 20 years out. Some of us won't be here. 20 years out, if we were able to make strides in Moran, what do you see? Like, what do you see for that?
Well, it needs to be things that young families want to come back to or stay and raise their family here.
Yeah.
So it goes along with housing, school,
recreational opportunities.
I think too, more and more people are working from home.
Yep.
So what can we do to entice people to come back to the country?
Yes.
To work from home in a small environment that's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to keep our communities safe.
Yes.
And, that's a teetering point too.
Yeah.
So what are we doing to keep her safe? The other thing that always, this is kind of out of the box, but we're at a junction, 59,
You are.
in a railroad.
Yeah.
Holy cow, what else do you need for infrastructure?
I know, you guys have it all right there.
And we need to take advantage of it.
You do. What population number, so right now, you guys are around 500. What population number would make you guys feel really good about Moran? I'm interested. Oh,
5,000?
5,000, so the size of Iola.
Well, I mean, it didn't have to be that big, but I'm just thinking in the future, I mean, you have a warehouse out there that's not being utilized.
Right.
I mean, there's some opportunities there for, an industry.
An industry. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, 5,000, I didn't realize that's how.
Iola's 5.5.
Is it?
But I will tell you, when I was in high school many moons ago, when I graduated in 98, we were closer to 8.5, I believe. And so in my mind, when I talked to the team about I want population growth, at 8.5, the square was full of businesses. Now, I will say it was pre-internet age, pre-COVID, where everyone got really comfortable shopping online, and that also kills downtowns, small downtowns. But what I liked about that size is it felt like a good amount of people without being too many people, and it felt like, we had, our industries were at their top capacities at that point. It was before we lost, Midland Break turned to Haldex, and then Haldex left, and so it was before all of that happened. So yeah, and I'm trying to think, and I don't have this number in my head, and I don't know if anybody in this room will, maybe I look at Kay. About 20 years ago, do you know what the population was here? Would it have been around 12? I guess you could look it up on our phones, couldn't we?
The population is always doubled. The population is always doubled. So we have classes used to run around 20, 25, and now we're down to 20.
Okay, so they've been halved.
Right. Our senior class this year is 12. Our incoming kindergarten class, we just had our roundup today. We're looking at 9.
I graduated in 1976 and we had 57.
Okay, wow.
Teresa added a trade school for high school students to attend, free specifically. She added, it's a program that's working really well in Pleasanton.
Mm-hmm. We do, yeah, so through Marmaton, right? Do you work with La Harpe, right, with the ROTC?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good call. Yeah, it's a great opportunity, I think, for
It's growing.
our community. Yes.
2,000 would be a good number because that would put more people in, increase the attendance at the school, keep the school open. But it would not be so big that you bring in some of those other issues.
Yeah.
It would keep the small town, I think, that we love about the town.
Yeah, I will say this was, we asked, I don't know if we asked the question in Humboldt, but it came up in Humboldt. They were like, we want to grow, but we don't want to grow. Like, you know, we want to grow, but not so exponentially that we're not our community anymore. Bless you, Rhonda.
What's your internet and what's your phone situation here?
Do you guys have good internet?
We do have access to microfiber at school. I think they're in the process crossing, I believe.
Yes,
Fiber
crossing,
is
yeah.
installed as a fiber optic.
Okay.
Internet, so that'd be the internet in town.
Okay.
Surrounding rural is QuickCom and New Wave.
Yeah, New Wave.
We have US.
Okay. Is your cell service good here? It depends on where you stand and who you are.
It's who your server is.
Okay,
USL works way out here. Or I would know.
okay.
Most of the other carriers don't, from my experience.
That's
I've
good to
sold
know.
phones for 4 years.
So that would be something, yeah, I was gonna say,
I had a lot of
Hayden
customers.
should know this answer, I should have just looked right at Hayden. When Kim, you talk, I think it was you that said this about remote work, was that right? So one of the biggest issues would be I mean, obviously we need housing. Then if someone's gonna work remotely, they need good internet access and good cell phone access. Most people, younger people especially, aren't looking at landlines.
Jay is here in Moran, north of Moran, working remotely.
Yes, hybrid, yeah, that's right. Okay.
That's who I have.
It works pretty good.
Well, because that's one of the things we would want to sell, right? Move to Moran. We've got homes for you. We've got good internet. We've got good cell service. We got great community. We got skate park. We got, we're getting there, Oscar. So that's some of the things when we think of packaging your community to say, hey, look at Moran, look at what they've got, that we would want to be able to say is up, not just up to par, but hopefully like really, really good, so that people would want to be here. Yeah. Oscar.
I think it would be good to advertise Moran a little bit more.
Oh, there we go. So really be able to talk about how great your community is. I see my next Thrive employee. That's what I see. He asks questions and he thinks about things. I love that because I think one of the things that we don't do very well right now, and that's not just Moran, I think that's most of our smaller communities. I actually would tell you the one community I think, maybe two, I'm going to give two communities this one that I think do really well advertising themselves. One is Humboldt, one is Mildred. And with Mildred, it's the Mildred store and their dances, because that's what brings people into that community. And I think they do a nice job advertising that. But I think the rest of our communities have a long way to go in order to promote themselves in a way that truly encompasses who you are and all you have to give and to show. So Oscar, I think you were spot on there. Good job.
If I could.
You might want to do more events so that we can get more people to come down and maybe live here.
I love that too. So one of the things brought up last time we were here, and then Hayden, I'll come straight to you, was a lot of the Moran Pride Thrive people who were saying, we are losing our volunteers. It's harder to get people to volunteer to do things in the community. And they talked about how do we get kids involved, the youth involved, to be more, to start taking up that mantle. How do we get younger people? When I say younger people, I'm going to say 40s and 30s probably, to also start stepping in, because they were seeing a dearth of, and it's not just here in Moran. We've had these, and most of our communities of 500 and less, this is the big part of the conversation, is how do we get the next generations to step up and say, we want to lead something, and we want to, or even just be a part of some of these groups that do this work. So I'm glad you brought that up too, Oscar.
I was just personally, something I've seen a lot of towns do, specifically smaller towns, is having a designated town like Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
Humboldt has one.
Yeah.
I do a lot of the social media, so being able to like tag the city in posts.
Moran Pride Thrive has one, right? And we're in the city of Moran does,
And
yeah.
really doubling down on that and utilizing that as like a digital hub for businesses and other cities nearby and different stuff. In my work, I've seen that start to pop up more and work really well because it gives the town a personality.
Yes, I agree. Do we know who runs it? Is it Marcia? Sorry. Does anybody know who runs
I
the?
think Taylor, I think they ran the City Hall.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, and Lori, because they don't have enough to do. Yeah, okay. That's the way it works. I get it. I totally do. Yep, okay. Sorry, Marcia, what were you gonna say?
So when we had the youth conversation at the high school with the students, they kind of talked about a service club that
that's right.
would do volunteering in the community. And one of the instructors there, I'm not sure who it was, I'm sorry, was asking the students, so if I would start, or she kept saying someone, which I'm assuming would be her, would start some sort of club like that where people would go out in the community and volunteer.
Like a K's or KS or something like that.
Would the students be interested? And some of the students did express a desire to do something like that. So that could be in the works in the high school.
Which would be wonderful.
Which we do have a case club that's very, very, very active.
Active?
Yes.
Okay.
So they do a lot of volunteer, do know of it.
I think this was just gonna be, I'm sorry, it was just gonna be more like a local volunteer kind of thing and not so much a K club where, because K club, yeah.
Like not necessarily tied into school, is that what you're saying? But just like a civic group for outside of the school? Interesting. Okay.
We do have a Rutan in Elmore.
Yes,
and
you
we have a Rutan here,
Yes.
which is growing. I'm pushing it.
Oh, that's good.
We would like more members if we could do volunteer work like that.
Yes.
Because that's what Rutan has always done.
Yes, I agree. Maybe we could put like building on Ruritan as well. So that was in Ellsmore, that was a big conversation, was Ruritan, because they're the ones doing a lot of the work in Ellsmore as well. And it was like, we need some of our younger people to step up. So
I think that kind of goes back to the advertising also, because I'm not a young person by any means anymore, but I have absolutely no idea what the Rutan does. To me, it's what my father-in-law belonged to, and
yeah.
Well, we're trying to get some members. We do have one teenager.
Yeah. That's the thing, Steve, I don't know like how much time I'm gonna have to commit to it, I don't wanna become a member, and
It's only once a month meeting, and we have to know that somebody needs help to be able to
I
volunteer
think
to
if
help
we could
them.
include that into the Moran City.
Yeah, and the information that they share.
People know what the Rutan's
And the
doing,
Legion
and what
also
they need.
does that. Gene Gardner's on top of that all the time, helping different ones here in town.
But it's always word of mouth with him, isn't it? It's not.
More or less, yes.
It's not really regional of everything.
So maybe if we could ask Lori and Taylor on top of the other stuff that they're doing. When it comes to, especially, I know how busy they are, so, but what I would say is I think Marcia could probably have a conversation, possibly, or we could, with the city and just say, hey, is there any way that some more of this could get on there if community, like if, I don't know, asking community members to share with them and then put it up online, you don't think so?
No, I share things from the school, things from the city.
Yeah, Marmaton, yeah.
Yeah, I share them all.
Marmaton Market does.
Page.
And the city does a lot of stuff on it.
Yes.
Newsletter that comes out in the.
Perfect.
Too.
Okay, good.
If you're on the Marmaton Market Facebook page, you're gonna get 3 or 4 posts a day.
About things going on in the community.
What's going on in the community, the store, just different activities.
And then once you receive that, if you would share that, I share hers all the time. And then they go to my friends.
Well, I get the Marmaton Market, but I just don't know anything about Rutan, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
If you could promote it more,
Yeah.
let us know what's the point.
We had a booth at the park Ellsworth at my brand day, and it was with the Legion, and it's over by the tennis court. We gave out flyers of advertising Rotan and trying to get members.
But she still wants to know what, like if you had a tree, years ago, when the guys could do stuff, they might go out and clean up people's yards.
Yeah.
They
Well,
cut down
that's what I'm
trees.
saying, if they just said the Rutan this week, helped so-and-so in town take down a tree that was about to fall on their house.
That'd be good advertising for Moran too.
Everybody,
Yeah,
what
right.
Rutan's doing,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think one of the bigger things to remember that we all run into in a smaller community, we just kind of think word of mouth will get it out there, or that Facebook can do it all. The problem is not everybody's on Facebook, and word of mouth doesn't actually reach everyone. And so I think this conversation about what is the best way to communicate that out is a good one to continue to have, because we all have different avenues that we get our information from, so.
And we've got 3 boards at our foyer where we can always put up any advertisements or anything. We keep up with them, take the old ones down, and bring them back up again. So that's another way to find out about things.
And speaking of advertising, in case you didn't know, this coming Saturday night from 5 to 7 down at the Elmore City Hall, the Masons are having their Mount Marshall Fish Fry.
Oh,
Is wonderful.
there you go. I like these kinds of advertisements. And Oscar, you had your hand up. Did you want to share something?
I think we funded our, police and firemen a little more, so we have a safer community.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, here's how I think you fund them more, is we build some homes. We have 4 people live here. And then we've got more tax dollars going into funding those, but that's good. Obviously, you feel safer the more you have police and firemen around. So thank you, Oscar. And I'd seen your hand go up a while ago, so I apologize. It took me a while. I realize that it's 7:10. Kay, go ahead.
Another thing that the Rotan does is we give scholarships to kids at school every year, as well as the Legion gives scholarships too.
Yeah, that's important. Thank you for sharing.
And our auxiliary. And we donate to everything the school does, which I've got a check for you, Diane.
Really, they are just wonderful when it comes to donations and stuff. I was blown away by the amount that they gave me for the library. I was just like, the Legion and the auxiliary. Yeah, it was just, it made my heart just pound. Yes, very generous.
Extremely generous.
Thank you, Kay.
I want to get it. Oh, I forget where it goes.
So I always like to try and keep us hour and a half, and we're already over an hour. So what I want to do before, wow, you guys had a lot. Our board's not going to make it. Was there anything that you guys didn't get to share, first of all, that is just needing to come forth?
There's one thing I'd like to add to, maybe some of the people don't know we do, is I am on a committee that does a food box once a month on the first Friday. And we could use a grant to buy some groceries from Maryland. Because we do buy some from Maryland.
Well, when you say the group, are you talking about Rutan, or are you talking about?
I think it started through
It started through Thrive.
Through Pride Thrive?
Thrive, yes.
Moran Pride Thrive,
It started
okay.
back in Nelda and Larry had it.
Yeah.
And now they're gone. Ann House and Ken Porter and me are doing it, so.
Maybe put Kay Lewis's name.
And when we have our Lenten services, when we have our Christian churches, all the money that we got was divided.
I'm with you, Phoebe, I apologize.
That was divided for the Thrive and for the Elmore Lieutenant, because we both have the food trucks.
Yeah, Margaret supports the 3 food pantries in the area, it's all 3, all those towns, all their purchases, and supply their pantries. And we do fundraisers through the year, we do Santa sacks for hunger, so people can buy a coupon for $100 now, and it's divided up, they designate which pantry they want it to go to.
That's awesome.
Are your food boxes different from the ones that you allow?
Yes. We still have food in them, but we can mostly have what Walmart stands and then what we can buy.
So they go to different people too?
Yeah,
We give Moran and Mildred only.
and they did, and Elmore gets the Elmore and Savage, that area.
Okay, that's good.
And they, what they do down there is they use, good hand bikes, some, and then Walmart things.
Okay, I do have a brand new. It comes out at the end of the year. It's Heartland Cheer.
Oh, we got it, we did that.
But we don't.
Look, Marcia's like, man, I got this.
I know. So you guys need a license. So I'm trying to get you information.
There we go, thank you.
You said that, I did that, I got all
I
right
don't
now.
have a vice president, but I do.
This was very sad. It's two questions.
Yeah, we can.
Very well, yeah. You know what that she did.
I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, what, you should get like maybe 1,500?
No, we got about 25.
Okay, so
That would be great.
It's over 2,000.
Oscar,
Helping the school grow.
helping the school grow. Yeah, that would be a good one.
That's a
Yeah, he's going, he's got it. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I want us to go through your list. I'm gonna read it out loud to you, and I want you guys to really think about it, because what I want you to do as a community, and Jeremy, I feel like you're off the hook on this one.
No.
Yes.
I'm just observing.
You're like, awesome.
I do have one thing.
Oh, yeah.
The housing.
Yes.
How is the, since there's a parking problem, how is the, like, the sidewalks around?
They're saying non-existent to bad.
She has it documented.
Oh, she'll show you the picture, Jeremy, does that work? So as they're looking at that, because Jeremy will understand things in an engineering way that we don't understand. I'm gonna read through what you guys talked about. I want you to think about what in your minds are your top priorities for the community. You can wear your selfish hat and it's not selfish, okay? You can wear your library hat, you can wear your independent living hat, you can wear your Oscar skateboarding park hat. What I want to know though is collectively as a community, what is going to rise to the top for all of you? So we talked about a healthcare or a doctor's office, like healthcare access in this community. And I'm going to read them through and then we'll go back and have you guys kind of talk out what you think would be at the top. A bank branch. We talked about hair and barber shops, but we also talked about, we have a couple of them here. A place to eat or two, so restaurants, hardware store, tradespeople, housing, so new housing, but also dilapidated housing, the vending machine for the library, and more funds for the library, that was Oscar, skate park, and the parks needing updated equipment, safer places to play at the parks, a basketball court. And I will say, as I talk about this, think about categories. So if we're talking skate park and park equipment, I would call that parks or recreation. And streets and sidewalks. So in general, you're talking about kind of non-existent or very dilapidated sidewalks, and the streets not being super safe for the kids to be biking on, was my understanding with what we were picking. This one, the Main Street, yeah. The rail line, so rail trail or walking trail of any kind, basically a safe place in town for that. The independent housing, needing repairs and having the parking problems. And then keeping the town safe, getting the word out about Moran, more events to get more people here. And then I'm going to say when it comes to this, I'm going to say volunteerism, getting more people involved in Rutan and other volunteer groups, and civically engaged groups, social groups, however you want to put that in the community. And I think that was oh, and then the food box, which I think we already started to address when Marcia came up with one of the grants.
I was gonna say in that previous one about getting more people involved, I think we need to hone in on the next generation that's right below me. So that we can get that group, yeah.
So Kim, I'm gonna say you're gonna have like the 30 and 40-year-olds?
Yes. Some
them how to draw them and say, yes, you can. If they're afraid to follow their parents' footsteps, that's
Yeah,
the shadow.
yeah,
So, well, that shadow's gonna disappear and then we're gonna be.
we're gonna be in trouble. Yep, I agree. Okay, with all of that, so one, I wanna say thank you, because all of you were so good at sharing so much today. Sometimes we have to pull some stuff out. You guys were really prepared. You were ready to go, and so we have a lot to pick from as kind of the things that rise to the top. So what I want to remind you, what I'm asking you to do is focus on maybe like top 3 priorities is how we usually try and do this. You can try, Marsha's like, please don't tell him to do this. Like I said, when I was looking at skateboard or skate park and basketball courts and stuff like that, I was like, put it all under one. Now Marsha's like, but you can combine some things to make it all work in what you're really trying to get to. And a reminder that what we're gonna do is take this back and figure out how we can try and make these areas opportunities for us to work with you, to bring alongside you the things that you guys are hoping for in the community. So for instance, like if the vending machine for the library isn't at the top of the list, I still think that that's something we need to be looking at. And I think Karen took that with her before she left. So for instance, if you don't want to bring that one up, so you're like, I think they're already working on it, then that's okay. And if you guys want to look at more broader scope issues. So opening it up, what do you guys collectively, like you're going to kind of hash it out here, think are, what out of everything we talked about, usually there's one that really rises to the top. I think you guys had quite a few things. So what would you feel you've heard rise to the top tonight?
Housing. Housing, I think it's housing.
I think we could put you guys in housing. Yeah, I agree.
We're all generations.
Yes. And that's where I was gonna say, I think we could cover what you ladies have talked about with the need for the foundational pieces and the infrastructure and all of that. Yeah, as part of assisted and independent living, with housing as well. I agree. I think
that's what's gonna bring, more people in.
Yeah.
More kids to the school.
And you can't bring more people in if there's no place for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I agree that that's super important, Jay.
Can we say just youth engagement?
Youth engagement.
Yeah.
Encompassing a lot of those things we were talking about.
Yep. So you're saying youth engagement, but underneath that, you're also saying the park stuff?
Parks, volunteers, recreation, events, advertising.
Wow, Jay just found out how to put everything on your list in one item. We might hone it down, but Shai started writing, so there you go. Now, we'll write some of these top things down, and then we might have to cull it down a little bit more. So what else out of the things that we talked about would you think would be a top priority?
I think get an industry here or businesses.
Business and industry. I'm gonna let us do a couple more and then we're gonna look at these and really hone in, just because if we can fit 1 or 2 more on here and there's something that hasn't been said that you guys think is really important. So I look at Kim and I say, should childcare be on this list, for instance? Or do we know that we're already working on it?
Why don't we leave it off, because that's on my.
It's already on the list to do. Perfect, okay. That sounds good. The other things that kind of came to mind that I'm gonna throw out here, and maybe it just goes under, do you know what? Honestly, I think it could go under here. What if we put under business, doctor's office and bank? And that way, so I just added all of our stuff too. Yeah, downtown business. So, but also hearing that you're saying industry, if we can find something that could sustain out here. Okay, well that is 3 then. So let's see how you guys feel about this. Housing, which includes independent and assisted living as well. Youth engagement, which would include our parks, getting youth actually involved in some of this work. And again, through our community conversation at the high school, that was shown that they seem to want to have some involvement. And so I think too, the thing I want to throw out here is, how do we ask them to be involved in a way that encourages them to know we want them as a part of the different, like if it's the Ruritan, if it's certain things that you're doing, events that you're doing that they can just join, something like that. Parks and Rec, I put in there as the skate park, as the equipment at the park, and then businesses. So small downtown businesses, do you also include in here buildings bought up that can't be used? Do you think about that as well?
I think we need to reclaim.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
I think just reclaim buildings, I think we'll understand what that means. Okay, this is a lot. So way to go. Yes, Marilyn. Support.
It's already here.
Yes.
Because if you lose the school or the store or.
Right, then it's gone. It doesn't come back. Yeah.
Everything else is gone.
And I think that's I'm so glad you said that, Marilyn, because I do think, and I mentioned this earlier, that COVID really switched a lot of things for us. It switched mindsets. It made it to the point where you had to order things online in order to get them to your home. Not always, but for a lot of different things. And then it just like stuck in people's heads. Well, I don't have time to run over to Marmaton Market. So I'm just gonna go on Amazon and I'm gonna order all this stuff and it's gonna get shipped to my house. And there it goes. When we do that, there is an ease to it. There's also a part where we hurt our community with it. And it's one of the things that we really try and, with the economic development side of, I was trying to look at Jared if he walked back there, the economic development side of what we do is how do we entice people to keep or encourage them to keep using our local businesses, because if you don't, they will not survive. And there are many local businesses in each of our communities that are not here because they're making money. They're here because they care deeply about our community and they know what it would mean if we lost that particular business. And so even to go in, there are certain businesses I'll go in and like, I might just buy something super small or just go in and talk to somebody and say, thank you for being here. And I'm just really grateful you're in our community. And that, just so you know, it is a struggle to be a small business owner, especially right now in our smaller communities. So they really appreciate that and just to be seen and to know that. So I'm really grateful for that, Marilyn. We are going to take everything you guys shared back with us. I also want, I think they brought cards. Are my cards back there too, Worship? Perfect. Thank you guys for being so on top of that. We have some of our business cards back there. Here's something I forgot to say earlier. It's way too late to say it now, so I apologize. Not everyone's comfortable speaking out loud about things that you think need to be addressed. I think all of you pretty much were, but if you're not, and there's still things that you were like, hey, I think it'd be really good if Thrive knew this. We put pieces of paper down at your tables. Feel free to write on them and hand them in to us. Feel free to call us and say, hey, I was at the Moran community conversation. There's some other stuff that came to mind, whether it's something that you were uncomfortable sharing with the group or whether it's something that just you go to bed tonight at 3 a.m. You're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think about this thing? We want to know that stuff. So please do share it with us. And I apologize that I forgot to share that early on. I was just so excited that you guys were all here. It takes a lot to show up for an hour and a half to a night meeting, and we know that. So thank you so much for representing your community tonight and for being here tonight. We truly do take what you share with us and we move it into the future in our work to try and make things happen for you here. What you share truly does inspire us and encourage us, and it's our intention to try and take what you share and make action out of it. So I want you to know that. Sometimes that action, I mean, Marcia experienced this firsthand, sometimes that action takes like 2-3 years. Sometimes it's writing 3 grants in a row to get all of them turned down just to get the next 3 all saying yes, which is great when that part happens. So just know we're with you through the long haul and we'll do everything we can. We just can't promise that that funding comes in when we write the grant or when we're working with you, but we do promise we're in it with you. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight, and feel free, we'll stay around a little bit to talk if you want to talk individually with anybody, and just thank you so much. Hey, Moran. Oh, actually, can we get a picture? Where's Dan or Hayden? Can we get a picture with our Moran residents, please? We do them in each community once a year. So because otherwise it's